One Shabbat Perek Vav Mishnah Chet. 8th Mishnah of the 6th chapter of Masechet Shabbat. Continuing to discuss things that people can and can't go outside with. It says in Mishnah, Kitea. Kitea is a person who lost a leg, so he has an artificial limb. Yosei b'kav shelo div Rabbi Meir. Meir says he can go out with his kav. So what's a kav? Kav is a fake foot. The Bartanura says, Osim lokum min tfus regel. They made him like a fake foot, the shape of a foot. V'chokek bo me'at lasum rosh shoko b'tocho. And they would cut in, they would carve in a little bit in order to put his leg in. Meaning this is a person who was a lower foot amputee. But the einoni smachalav, he's not leaning on it. If he's leaning on it, that's like a shoe. But here it's only cosmetics, only prosthetic. It's interesting. I found you a picture. Let's see if I can find it. Here we are. This is a picture. So in this picture, it's fascinating. In these artificial limbs, we don't see. Oh, they have these peg legs. And I remember I read a book called The Great Brain, and they talk about a kid who's lost a leg. It's called a peg leg. But it's clear, fascinating from the time of the Mishnah that it's kav shelo is interesting. Whether they had a peg, the Bartanura thought it was difus regel. It was like the shape of a foot. In my research, my very brief research on the internet, I saw that in ancient times there was such a thing as a fake leg. Okay, but the point the Bartanura says, since einoni smachalav, therefore the question is it cosmetic? He doesn't lean on it. He doesn't just walk. So it's cosmetic. So is that considered something you wear, like clothing, or something cosmetic, something extra that you're carrying? So that's what the nature of the machloket. Rabbi Meir says, Yosei b'kav shelo, you can wear it outside. It's not hotzav. Rabbi Yossi oseh. Rabbi Yossi, no, he prohibits it. Why? Because he says, you're not wearing it. You're not wearing it. It's not like clothing. It's an adornment. Mishnah continues. If it has a place, remember you're hollowing it out in order so that the leg will fit in, and he walks on the leg and it's somehow attached. If it has a place for holding ketutim, i.e. ketutim are small cloths that are folded over. It's padding. So if there's a place to hold the padding, then tameh. Then it's also mekabel tuma. If it's not, it doesn't have any place to hold those cloths, then it's not mekabel tuma because it's only used for a person. It's not a kli beit kibul. It doesn't have what's called a beit kibul. But if it has a beit kibul for ketutim, for small cloths, in order to have padding, then it is mekabel tuma. Samochot shelo. So let's say this person is he's a cripple. He's an amputee. So his samochot. Let's look at the Bartanura. Samochot are. Let's look at the Bartanura. Yesh kitea shtei raglav. So there are some kinds of people who are double amputees. V'holech al shokav, and he walks on his legs. Ve'al arkvotav. Arkvotav are his arms. Ve'oseh smuchot shel or b'shokav. And he has these they're like leg pads on his shokav, on his lower legs. Okay, those are samuchot that he leans on. Arkvotav. My mistake. The leg from under the hip bone to the ankle, the knee and its surrounding parts. So that's what the Bartanura means, just to make sure that I got it right. He's walking on his shokav al arkavotav. He's sort of crawling. So in this picture that I found on the internet, you can see this person, he's walking on his arkavotav. Those are smuchot. Because there was no way, his leg was not strong enough to hold him. So therefore he was walking on his arkavot. Okay, and that's how he would walk with the help of crutches, and he would crawl around. So that's what the Mishnah says. If he's smuchot shelo, they are tmei midras, they're mekabel tuma. So it's something that not you wear, but if you're leaning on it, if you have or etz, if you have or is leather or wood, and it's something that you lean on, okay, then they're like if he becomes a zav, it becomes tamei avatuma. Then if it's something that's midras that he leans on or that he sits on, that can become mekabel tuma, like the avatuma. It becomes avatuma. It's not just a rishon the tuma. Normally, if I'm a zav and I'm avatuma, then my clothing are rishon the tuma. But if it's something that's tamei midras, if I lean on it or sleep on it, then it's tamei midras and it becomes tamei avatuma, like the person himself. But v'yosim be'em Shabbat, he can wear them on Shabbat, he can use them on Shabbat, they don't fall off. V'nichnasim be'em ba'azara. And you can wear them in the Beit HaMikdash, even though in the Beit HaMikdash you're not allowed to wear shoes. These are not shoes, even though they're on his feet. They're not shoes, they're kind of like leg pads. You're allowed to wear them in the Beit HaMikdash. Kisei v'samuchot shelo. Let's say a person, though, is so crippled. Here I have a picture. I can't show it to you because he doesn't give me the rights to it. The Mishnah Behira is a beautiful picture, okay, of a person. It's almost hard to describe. He's sitting on a chair. He can't lean on his legs. His legs is below the knee or a little bit above the knee. Okay, so he has these hand things that he's holding on to, and he also has a chair. And he pushes himself, and he lifts himself up, and he's sitting on the chair. he moves on the chair forward. Let's look at the Bartenura for a second. Okay. Kiseh, yesh kitea. There are some cripples. His legs, the gidim, the sinews have dried out, i.e. they're become disfigured. Okay, he can't walk on his lower legs. He makes a lower chair, and he sits on it. And then he like leans on these pieces that he holds, these like handles, and he leans on them, and he moves himself forward on the chair. They obviously didn't have wheelchairs back then. And he pushes himself forward. And he's like moving on his chair. And his chair is tied behind him. So the Mishnah says, this kisei v'samuchot, Tmei midras, they are tamei midras as we said before, because he leans on them. He cannot use them to go outside on Shabbat into reshut harabim. We're talking about reshut harabim, and most people they were for sure were allowed to go into their chatzer at least. So he can't go into them. He can't go outside on Shabbat. And you can't use them to go into the azara. Now, why wouldn't he be able to wear the samuchot, the things that are covering up his stump? Because they weren't tight. He didn't need them in order to walk, or they didn't touch the ground. So therefore, since they didn't touch the ground, and since he's sitting, they would fall off. And then he would be afraid he would carry them in reshut harabim. He'd be ma'avir arba amot. A new case. Anaktimin. Anaktimin is just like a crazy mask. I don't know why the Mishnah talks about this, but it's like a mask. The Bartenura says anaktimin. Kamin partsuf adam. It's like a human face. Mishuna. It's a strange human face. Shemisimin alapanim. You put it on your face. Lahavit botinok to scare children. I have no idea why a person would do this, but it's like a Purim mask or whatever. Perush acher. Another explanation. It's like a fake donkey that they would wear on their shoulders. I guess you ever see those guys that are walking around and it's like he's got a fake horse on him? I guess they have that. Costumes of some kind. Tehorim, they are not mikabel tuma. They're not mikabel tuma. They're not a kli tashmish. It's not an adornment. You can't wear them. You're not wearing them. You're carrying them, and therefore it's asur to carry them on Shabbat. We'll stop here. If you have any comments or questions, as always, email me here. There's my email address, and we'll dedicate the learning to the memory of my father, Rav Simcha ben Yitzchak Kalman.